Hey guys, it's your girl Kate, better known as Esper Dreams. How are you? Hope you're all doing well. I am going to play a game with you called Drowning. It's an indie game that deals with depression and the life of a young man throughout his 4 years of high school. I think it starts off in like middle school with grade 8, then it goes on from there. It's a walking simulator, but it tells a story as you walk through the different scenery, which I can only assume is the subconscious. Maybe. It's an interesting game, and so let's try it out. Got it. Okay, there were some errors before where it kept going to my saved data. It's a really beautiful game. I think with the birds chirping, the wind on those ground looked like really peaceful, and I know these are like mushrooms, but I keep thinking they're like guillotines. So I still remember the day we first met. I won't lie, playing this game really rewoken some of my own thoughts of my own depression. I was in year 8 and you had no friends. While I was alone, you came and sat next to me. Though you never said anything. So all the story is text-based. There is no voice acting, there's nothing. But I could relate to this young man from my own struggles with my own depression. I hardly recognize you were there. You were quiet like me. Every time I was all alone, you would come and visit. So year 8 is when he first found out he had depression, but you wouldn't say anything. Weeks went by. And you still wouldn't talk to me. This game has 3 endings, by the way. So I ignored you. I got I want to call the hope ending, and you left me alone. Which I'll go over with you guys when we get to that year 12. The only downsides, I wish the guy this could walk faster, like a snail's pace, it feels like. It wasn't long after you left till the holidays started, and my family decided to go overseas. The guillotine mushrooms. It's my first time on a plane, so I was kind of nervous. I eventually overcame my fear as I, by accident, touched my headset. Sorry about that. If there's noise or not, I don't know, but if there is, I'm sorry. I'm totally a awesome YouTuber. Anyways, while we were overseas, mainly this stuff with our family. It was a lot of fun. I didn't think life could get any better. And definitely not worse. As much as I didn't want to, we had to leave. But all good things must come to an end. That's really sad but true. But I view it now that even though the good things that we perceive to be good have to end, we still have the memories. It doesn't mean that every day we live is going to be good or bad. It's going to be a mixture of both, and how you perceive the bad to be is how your day is how the good will show, if that makes sense. Like, I can have a really bad day, but if I can find something good about my day, like talking to my boyfriend or talking to good friends, then my day wasn't so bad. And that's just through help with therapy and my good friends that helped me see this. Because I never did in high school, in my 20s. I never saw it like that. We arrived home on the last day of the holidays. Life was good. But then school started. Yeah, I used to hate school so much. Didn't have a good experience. And you were there. Having depression, and when I knew I was different in 5th grade when I was dealing with a lot of my dad's affair and the stress that came along with it, and my mom chasing him around the town to find him and find his mistress. On Friday and Saturday night, it was like lack of sleep, trying to pretend everything was normal, and also, but you were different. But also, it was a tough time. You seem more confident. It was just like a bizarre mixture of being teased, like I've been made fun of and teased since I was in kindergarten. And that lasted up until a senior year of high school. The last day of high school was when it finally stopped. But no one liked you. So playing this game, like, I can relate to this character a lot. I didn't understand why. Probably because as we're walking in his shoes, I've also walked my own path with this too. You seemed fine to me. And sometimes playing, so we became friends. A lot of the content was like, oh my god, this is how I felt, or this is what I would say, and sometimes I still say these things. Every day opened up a little more. And you started talking to me. I kind of like how everything's backwards, by the way. Like all the words are just backwards. We became close. Like, for me, this game is visually beautiful. It may not be for anybody, but I'm trying to find games that are deal with mental illness in a positive light, not in the ones that have the main villain that have like depression or some kind of mental illness to explain why this person is killing people or doing bad things. So I'm trying to hunt down these games to show you guys and talk about them, because the more we talk about mental illness, the more I feel the stigma of having it kind of goes away. And it makes it easier for other people who are struggling to talk. Later that week, I told another friend about you. He warned me that you were dangerous. But I didn't see how. So I ignored what he said. After all, he barely knew you. Soon after, we became friends. He started telling me strange things. He told me one of my good friends didn't want me as their friend anymore. It made no sense. So I just ignored you, hoping you would leave me alone. Yep, I can relate to that too. Especially when, like, the thoughts in your head with depression, in my case, tell you or make you think that someone's mad at you or angry at you, but they're not, and it's hard to sometimes fight those thoughts, especially when you're already confused about the conversation, for example, and you don't know, like, oh, did I anger that person? But you never did. And I'm one that never asked. I typically apologize. You kept going. Excuse me. Telling me the same thing over and over again. Yeah. That's what depression does. Like, someone on Twitter mentioned depression is like a bully who all this bully does is wear you down to let the negativity become normalized. So it's like your worst bully from like elementary, middle, high school, or even like yourself, telling you that you're ugly, you're no good, you're pathetic, you're worthless. No one loves you. No one cares. Everyone would be better if you weren't here. And it's the same thing on an endless loop. And it keeps telling you over and over again these same thoughts. Over time, you just start to believe them. Because you don't know really what to do, or like, do you really ask the person? Like, are you mad at me? Do you hate me? I do now, but growing up I didn't. I chose to listen. And it just like this, and it got louder and louder in my head. That it was like suffocating. I started to believe what you were saying. Yep. So, heads up, I am going to tell you about my experience with my own depression, so I probably might get emotional. I probably will. So, but it's just come with territory. I don't know what to do. Yeah, and I didn't know what to do when I was, like, young dealing with it either. I thought the best thing to do was to let you keep going. And that's what I did too. Because you can only fight so long that you get tired of it. And you just accept that this is the new reality in a way. And pretend I didn't care. Yep, I did that. And that made it worse, actually. Pretending I didn't care what was going on in my own head. You know, just kind of shut yourself down and kind of just... I don't know how to, like, you kind of die inside a little bit. You just become like I would pretend I would be happy. It took a while. And just so people wouldn't worry or think anything was wrong. And on the inside, I was dead. Completely dead inside. But you eventually became a voice in the back of my head. Like, I view my own depression like that I couldn't forget what you said. I never did was mine, but I feel like my depression is like I'm in a maze, and it's like a fog, like hiding the way to get out or to see the light. And behind me is a minotaur, who is an emphasis of my depression, all the dark thoughts, like, well, like I'm worthless, I'm pathetic, like stuff like that. Like, am I a good person? Am I a monster? And it's chasing me throughout this labyrinth, this maze, and it's so hard at times to get out. Because the voice is an endless loop talking to you, these thoughts, on like repeat. And you do believe every word of it because it becomes your reality now. You convinced me. Yep. That my friend didn't need me. Yeah, I get that one a lot. Not anymore, but when I was younger and was better off without me. I get these thoughts sometimes, but I do ask my friends or my boyfriend just to, they can tell me that's incorrect, and then that thought kind of vanishes when I'm pretty low with like battling. Typically now with therapy, I know what steps I have to do to better prevent like the thoughts. But on days I can't, I'll ask Tom, I'll ask my boyfriend, I'll ask close friends of mine, like, hey, these are my thoughts, this is what I'm thinking, and they'll tell me the opposite of what the thought is telling me, and it kind of breaks that cycle. And yeah, I let a lot of friends go away because I chose to, when I was in high school, I chose to believe the depression, that I wasn't worth it, and that anyone who would talk to me, it would be like I was going to ruin their day. Because how do you make someone like you that truly hates you? Yeah. Like, how do you ask that question? Like, do you hate me? Wherever he would start our conversation, I would purposely seem uninterested. I'd do that too. I was shutting myself down. I didn't want to ask, like my former friend, like, hey, are you mad at me? Do you hate me? Because I was scared that the reality was she did. When it wasn't. She was a good friend of mine in high school. So that's somebody else. Yep. Like, I didn't have, like, really a lot of friends. Somebody he really wants to talk to. And I thought that way, too. The few friends I had, like, I would do this. Just because I was so scared that this person could dislike me or hate me. It looked like I was being rude. It did. In a way, I was being rude. But I really doing him a favor. And that's what I justified those actions. What was that I was doing her a favor by, yep, I stayed in the embarrassment of having to talk to me in front of others, and that's what I truly thought. That no one would want to stand to be near me. did an effort of being nice and pretending to care. And now in high school, I had a lot of people that what I would call like quote unquote like throwaway friends, where they were pretending to care, or maybe it was just depression, but I was just a shy, nice girl in high school, but I was only shy because I didn't have my voice. My voice was stolen from me for so long. Now we're in year 9, guys. I was happy for school to start so I could see my friends. So I like knowing that for him, the depression, he found ways to be happy battling his depression. Didn't like seeing me like this, so he'd disappear. Yep, once you're happy and those endorphins kick in, like depression kind of fades away and it goes away. I mean, it comes back like a boomerang. 'Cause it never truly leaves. It's just, you have found something positive to replace negativity. And never really understood why you kept coming and going. I never understood how depression was. When I was diagnosed with depression, I was in middle school. I think 7th or 8th grade I was diagnosed. But I was never explained to me anything about what it was. And like this person, when it was gone, I was happy. It was like, why can't it be gone like every day of my life? And it wasn't until now that I realized I enjoy life a lot more when you weren't around. And it's true. Like, I always thought that, like, depression was just made me, like, a monster. So I became scared of you. I was scared of my depression. I'm not anymore. I have come to accept it, that I have it. And I have come to realize that everyone has some sort of mental illness, where some have it worse than others, and some just have moments when they're sad, but they can pick themselves up. It's normal. We all have it. But I didn't realize this until therapy in my 30s, and I began to hate school. Well, I hated school back in kindergarten because I didn't want to be friends with you anymore. But I tried my best not to worry too much, because I knew you loved seeing me like this. And I think we'll come back. It's like an endless loop. School was great at first. I got to hang out with friends I hadn't seen in a while. And I even spoke to one of the new students. Who soon after became one of my closest friends. But then you came along. Like a boomerang, it just comes and goes, comes and goes. Or I'll describe my depression as like waves crashing on the beach. Sometimes it's just little waves crashing, and I have tools that I know how to just deflect them. Or sometimes it's a big wave where I do ask for help in forms of, hey, this is how I feel. Because I find that once I tell someone that I trust how I feel, though, that big wave becomes a little wave. Because now I am vocalizing, alright, this is how I feel right now. Or even asking, like, am I a monster? And then once the person I talk to tells me not what I want to hear, but the truth, that no, I'm not, or whatever I'm asking of that person, that giant wave that I feel like a tsunami crashing in my mind just becomes a little wave, and it kind of disappears. if that makes sense. And you destroyed the fun I was having. Yep. For me, it just made me shut down. Told me to stop speaking to people who don't like me. Yep. And that's what I did. I chose to listen to it. And the minute I did, my life drastically became more of a lonelier existence. Because all I'm doing are making more people hate me. See, and I didn't think they hated me. I thought they just strongly disliked me. Because I was too scared to say they hated me, you know? I was like more nervous that the truth was they did. So if I said dislike, it was kind of my way of maybe rebelling against the thoughts. But it also did more harm than good. It's the same cycle. Because instead of asking like relatives, like my cousins or friends, I chose to believe it and just accept it. I thought the best thing to do was ignore you. And I found that when I ignored my depression, things got a lot worse for me. And consequences were pretty bad. Not long after I was walking down the school hallway, and I saw the new guy standing with a group of people. So I said, "Hi." But he ignored me. It was kind of like he was embarrassed to know me. And I found situations like this where it could be he may have nodded, like a friend may have nodded at me or whatever. But if I perceived it that they didn't say anything, then it was like, oh my god, this person knows that I am a monster, that I am worthless. That if he can't talk, if this person, well, he or she can't talk to me in front of other people, then maybe I shouldn't have anyone in my life who would. Like, I began to think of, well, am I ever gonna find people who want to be with me? Who want to call me a friend? Or a partner? Or whatever? And the thoughts were just like, no, because I would use examples like what happened here. And it would just be more reinforced that I was alone. And that no one wanted to bother with me. Even though we were good friends. And even though we were good friends, I still believed. Well, at least I thought we were. Like, depression feeds on that negativity. And so the more I thought that, you know, when I had these thoughts like this night that when trying to fall asleep, the thought of the new guy kept crossing my mind. I just couldn't figure out what I did. And then you're up. Like, I was up all the time trying to figure out, well, what did I do to piss her off? What did I do to make her angry? And then I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia. I had sleep issues. Because all I kept dwelling on was every tiny mistake I ever did that day. And depression just fed off it, like fuel to a fire. And all you were doing was telling me how right you were all along. And that's the worst feeling, to know that the depression... I should listen to you. Precisely. And the depression was just like the big bully, when the bully knows that you're like defeated and it laughs at you and says, see, I told you this was going to happen. I told you that no one wants to bother with you. No one loves you. No one cares for you. You're worthless. You're scum. If you listen to me, then everything would not have turned out this way. you wouldn't be in such pain now. And that's what I thought and believed for so many years. And it's hard to break that cycle. I didn't even understand why it was bothering me so much. Like, it could have been a simple misunderstanding, but I never talked to any of them. All I knew is that I was losing sleep over something that probably doesn't even matter. But yeah, I'm sorry, I really like the graphics here. I mean, they're simple-ish, but just the way the wind is blowing, like, the top of the trees, it's just kind of peaceful and relaxing. Waking up in the middle of the night became normal. That's why I think for school I barely got, I think maybe more than 3 hours. And when I first noticed, I looked more tired than usual, than I usually did. So in this part, it changed because I honestly, when I was a junior in high school, I had very few friends. When I was a senior in high school, I had 0. So no one really noticed that I was struggling or that I was tired. So they kept asking if everything was okay. Now, my guidance teacher did, Mrs. Sachs. But you said to remember what you told me, and all I would do was say, I'm fine, just not feeling good. And be careful what I said to them. So I told them I was fine. And, yep, and that's all I would say. When she would ask me, like, how I was, even though I was far from it, I would just say I was fine. And it was just my way of brushing it off. Of not really answering that, no, I'm not okay. Telling no one about you was hard. And when I would tell people, like family, that I was sad, I was told, you had no reason to be sad. So why don't you just buck up and grow up? Was the response I got. So I didn't, even though I was diagnosed and people knew, I didn't have a person to talk to or a person to go to about what was going on. I really wanted to, but you wouldn't let me. The only difference would be I did tell my cat Fluffy about it. He kept reminding me of how I already made other people hate me. Yep. Like, I did talk to my cat. I don't know if anyone's had pets, but talking to a pet, like my cat, like, I really believe that animals know when you're upset or sad or anything. Like, they proceed to be, like, different. And Fluffy would always come and stay with me. Let me pet her. And we could talk. And she would just, like, I know she probably didn't understand anything I said. But she did. I didn't know what to do. Nope. Not until I was much older did I know what to do. You wouldn't leave me alone, because depression for me was like a constant fluttering of all this negativity, like a wave. Blah, 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 like everything I didn't want to hear would be said to me at any given moment, like in my thoughts. You knew I was scared of you. I was definitely scared of my depression. It made you happy. I don't know if my depression, like, it being not a live person, was happy when I was scared of it. I don't think I ever felt that way. I think mostly it was just, I was tired of it. Tired of feeling like I wasn't normal. Feeling like I wasn't normal. it was only a matter of time before you would leave me alone. So I tried to learn how to control my emotions. Yep. I learned that I could cry late at night in my bed, let all the pain out, and I learned how to pretend to be happy by smiling, but in the inside I was screaming for someone to notice that I was drowning. I was getting quite good at it. I know I was, because I never told anyone when I first moved in with my roommate. He never, and it seemed to make you angry. I never told anyone I had depression because I was met when I did tell someone, I was told some really mean, horrible things that you'd never want to tell someone with depression. I thought I finally found a way to remove you from my life. And I won't go into what was said to me, but it's the kind of shit you don't want to tell anyone that is experiencing depression or suicidal thoughts. Because you're not helping, you're making it worse. And I just pretended for so long that everything was okay. That, like I said, I know what it's like to be dead. I was completely dead inside. I would show emotion. I would just be like... My parents told me they were getting a divorce. Well, I can't relate to this. My parents never got divorced. Though I wish that sometimes they did. I think they'd probably be a lot happier if they did. But they found something to work on. And it worked for them until my dad's until my dad passed away, and then it became a little bit different. So we're at nighttime. Kind of like the tropical. I like the waterfall. All right, let us go. Okay. When my parents separated, you kept telling me it was my fault. So, for me, I can't relate to this, because my parents never did. Someone telling me otherwise, it was hard not to listen to you. Now, it would tell me, like, when certain things happened in my life, that really wasn't nobody's fault, it was my fault. You said not to tell anyone what happened. Because no one wants to hear or know anything about me or my miserable life. That hits home because, yes, I thought that. I thought, why? Why would anyone give a damn? Why would anyone want to listen to me tell how miserable my life was? Or about my past, or about my sadness, because I felt nobody did. So I kept everything to myself, and I was like, I was bottling up that pain by suppressing it. I made myself sicker. I made myself miserable, even though I desperately wanted to tell somebody, and I did. But who would listen to me? Who would want to be there? When I tried to sleep, you kept reminding me of all the things I could have done to stop this from happening. And it's like, it picks apart, like, the what-if scenarios. And, yep. It would just pick apart, like, okay, if I said this, like the what-if game, I hate the what-if game. Because any outcome in life is I believe, determined by your actions at any given moment. So if something, like you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, for example, you're gonna pick apart about what went wrong, just so you can learn from your mistakes and learn how to move on from them, right? For me, before therapy, for me, I never could, because anything would be like, oh my god, if I said this, if I did that, if I shut up about that, or blah 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 blah, it just made the thoughts just be worse. And so, yes, I couldn't get much sleep. I did play a lot of video games, but it didn't really help me. But they were because like this, they weren't as much fun as they used to be because it became a chore. It became a full-time job to play video games. It was like, okay, like this, the more they felt more like a task or excitement rather than a relaxation activity. They did. Instead of playing like Sudoku or Resident Evil 2 or whatever I was playing at the time in high school, it became more like I go to school for however long, from like 8 to like 4, whatever, however long school was. Then homework. Then I couldn't sleep, I played video games. But then it was like I was working. And it took way more effort than it used to. Like, it became something that I hated for a long time. But it was the only way to feel that like life wasn't that bad just for a moment, and it did for me. Like, playing video games kind of helped me like just not focus on depression, even though depression was weighing me down with all these thoughts of isolation and everything. It was just better off that I had that like moment of distraction versus sitting in my bed like not sleeping and having the whole weight of the world on my chest, like just pressing hard on it is what it felt. And it sucked. I found myself getting irritated with everything. I find myself still getting irritated with everything. I try not to. I work really hard not to, because it's not like, yeah, everybody annoys me. And everyone still annoys me. Even close friends annoy me. But I have to ask myself why I'm getting irritated. Before, I would just chalk it up to, okay, whatever. I didn't care. Everyone's annoying. Everyone's irritating me. And I just let myself believe that. Instead of asking, well, why is this person annoying me? Why is this person irritating me? I didn't ask those questions. And so I just chose to believe that it was true. Like, I didn't want to ask myself like the questions, and it's hard to break that cycle in my thought process now. I am working on it, but it is hard. Is it possible to calm down and relax? The only way I could calm down and relax at times was to read like a Nancy Drew book or something, Hardy Boys or something. Even like reading like 17 magazine, which I view as fluff. Even reading that, just how people have like, I'll call them normal issues about, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me, what do I do? Or something like mundane as getting a zit and how to correct it. Because I felt like these people, I may not relate to them, but I can pretend I can relate, and it kind of help find some peace in that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the stuff I would do in high school. But if I wasn't angry at everyone, I feel empty and numb. Yep, because anger was the only emotion that made me feel alive for so long. Everything else, like happiness, sadness, was just numbing for me. Anger, I felt if I could get angry, then I was alive. When I couldn't get angry, I felt just so dead inside. Like a black hole sucking in anything that made me feel emotion. I was wearing a heavy suit of armor. For me, I was wearing a mask, is how I described it. Or how I describe it. I'm repeating myself. Where I could mask my emotions. So even though if I was sad, I could play it off like watch a sad movie and cry so no one would know why I'm crying, like really why I'm crying. Or I would go out in public and I would be happy Kate instead of I'm really not in a good place state of mind because no one I felt gave a rat's ass. And so the mask I wore became like the armor he was wearing. It was heavy. It was like wearing like doing a Harry Houdini like magic trick where he's all in chains underwater and he escapes. Only difference between me and Harry Houdini was I could never escape the depression. It was dragging me down from the surface to the bottom of the ocean. Just every time I would find a way to break free, more chains would appear and drag me down. That's what it felt like. And every movement took a tremendous amount of effort and was completely exhausting. Yeah, because all I did was wanted to sleep all day. Because if I slept, and no matter how hard I tried, I was unable to take it off. Because for me, when I slept, I'd have to deal with depression. I'd have to deal with anything. I could just sleep. It was as loud as it was heavy. Excuse me. And I felt like I annoyed anyone who walked past me. I didn't feel that. I don't remember. It's like I needed to apologize to anyone who dealt with my presence. And that's something I still do now. I always say I'm sorry. And people ask me like why. And I don't know why. I can't explain why. It was like everyone was annoyed at me and I was letting everyone down. And I still feel that. But the difference between Kate and high school Kate and Kate in her 30s is that I ask. I'll say, hey, you know, am I doing this? Am I holding you from doing what you want? Am I letting you down by not having, you know, by whatever the case may be? I talk it out now versus keeping it in. Because it's horrible keeping these thoughts inside. Because there's no winning. It's just depression's winning and you're suffering for it. My body felt like it's constantly coming down with the flu. I don't think I dealt with that though. I get headaches and feel nauseous. I didn't feel this way in my case. I was just always tired. I was always in physical discomfort. Like I said, I was just always tired. Like I could never have enough sleep. That's how I constantly felt. Tired and always sad. Whenever I was at school, out with my family or friends' place, I never felt comfortable. That's true. I always, when I would go out with dinner for like families, 'cause I didn't really have like friends in high school. Like senior year, I had zero. I'm stuttering, sorry. I would call them pity friends. That's the word I was trying to find earlier. People who felt sorry for me, or so I thought. And so it made me feel worse Like, I could never find a place that I belonged or fit in. Because there was really, like, I didn't know what normal was. I just want to stay in my room all day and stop pretending like everything was alright. Yeah, that's a big one. Because in my room with, like, my books, like, even my cat, I could be me. I could not have to worry about impacting anyone's day if I was sad. I could just finally stop pretending to be alive and let my emotions come out in my room. Usually late at night though. And I hated socializing. I still hate to socialize. Not from depression, but maybe it is. I just am not a social person. I would avoid social situations like the plague. Yep, I do. Though I have forced myself in my later years to do stuff. Um, Even though I get really uncomfortable going out in public or going to a party, for example, like relatives or like friends, because I always feel out of place. Well, I've, I never really did decline anything. I was in fights and many stuff. Because every person I avoided was somebody's day not ruined. Yep, I thought that way for years. Because if I go to this event and someone's going to be day ruined because I'm there. And so by not going, I was doing them a favor. But it really wasn't doing me a favor. Because by going out and socializing, I was I was telling the depression thoughts that no, like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna find new people to hang out with. Which is why I do fight that too. Even now, even if I'm only there for like a half hour, I do try to go so I can be like, I'm here. You know, even if no one talks to me, I still did that. And from me in the past, it's a huge step, and I'm proud when I do these things. Even I don't know. I'm like getting nervous now for some reason talking about all this stuff. Don't know why. I just I do get nervous talking about like my own battle with depression. I'm always fearful what people will say. I'm in the middle of a vast ocean. I don't want someone to be negative about my own experiences. I mean, it happened once on like Twitter. I blocked that person, but basically it was just this person was kind of implying I was in my depression of to get sympathy or to get people to watch my content. And the truth of the matter is, no. I'm very vocal now about my depression because I don't want to be ashamed that I have it. I hate having depression. I really hate it. But when I start to feel that it's like becoming not okay to talk about it, I want to talk about it. And depression does make me not want to do content or write in my blog or stream or anything because it's hard for me not to think negative thoughts when I do these things. Hopefully that makes sense because I ramble, if you haven't noticed. And I can't keep my head above water anymore. That's how I feel with my depression. It feels like, in a sense, you're drowning. I'm really out of breath. What? I found a candy. I got a trophy called candy. I was like, what's that thing there? Okay. Weird. But still kind of cool. No one is going to help me And that's what I thought. Like, I'm just drowning in a vast ocean and no one's gonna reach out and grab me and pull me up so I can breathe. But it's only because I didn't let anybody or give them a chance. Every time I swim to the surface and grasp for air. Is there anything else here? Like, now I'm curious. Guess not. I think down to the very bottom. And getting to this right here, like these thoughts, again and again. I was digging my own grave at that point in my life. And again, I pretty much had dug my own grave. Because all I was doing was, for so long, I stopped battling my depression to the point where I was going to end it all. Because I was so scared to let anybody in, to let anybody know of my pain. I was ashamed to let people know that I had this. I had lost all hope, and that's where it was. I had no hope. I had nothing but pain. Constant pain. And I don't know what to do. And I didn't know what to do. I was scared to ask for help. I was scared to talk to people. I was scared to say, oh my God, I need somebody. Because I was too much of a coward and a chicken to do this from the years of constantly being told by my depression that nobody cared. And all because I listened to depression. I almost took my own life. What are you doing? I'm ending everything. Why? Because there's nothing left for me in this world, and that's what I thought. That there was nothing. No, there was, I couldn't see past depression for the next day. All I knew was that right now, in the moment, I had nothing. There was nothing that mattered. I had nobody. I had nothing. All because I listened to depression. And I felt I had nobody there. What about your friends and family? And honestly, I didn't care about them when I had those thoughts. Didn't give a shit. What about the people you love and respect? And I didn't care about that either. Didn't. I'm doing them a favor. And that's what I thought. If I killed myself, one, I'd be free of the pain. And they'd be free of me. It's what I thought. And no, you're not. You're going to hurt them. And even though I knew, like, I knew that is the outcome of suicide. I didn't care. I didn't care. They're going to put them through a great amount of pain you never experienced, and that is so true. Is that what you want? Shut up. Because, yep, I couldn't see. You don't know what pain is. And that is true. Like, I didn't know what true pain was. I knew what my pain was. You're the reason I'm doing this in the first place. Like, I knew I what I was going through. You showed up out of nowhere. Try not to cry, so you put thoughts in my head. And you tell me things that aren't true. And I can't take it anymore. And I remember, so I'm gonna do this for me and no one else. And I remember, like, growing up, I was, because I'm tired of being in a place I don't belong. And right there was why when I was, like, 13 or 14, I was gonna kill myself because I didn't belong anywhere. And obviously I didn't. Well, that was the first time. Because my little cat was like nuzzled against me and was purring, and I just dropped a razor. And I was like, okay, and I petted my cat for hours. Crying. And I didn't do it. But in my 30s, things were bad. Because after battling like it for so long, I stopped battling. And I was just working myself to death. Didn't know who to talk to, who to trust. Everything like this, the game saying, I felt it to a certain degree. Felt I was miserable. That if I die, people would actually rejoice that I was dead. That's what I thought. That they'll only be sad for like, kind of like you have a band-aid, you pull the band-aid off, and you have that pain. Like that's what that's what I thought. Like if I died, if I killed myself, it'd be like it'd be like a wound that they took the band-aid off, and oh, that's Kate dying, and then you go on with your life. That's what I honestly thought it was. And honestly, I remember I was 32, and I remember for like October, we had just moved to our place, what, in 2013, I want to say. Don't remember the year. Yeah, I think. So I was like, I had just turned 33. And I remember, like, for a whole week, I would hold the knife, shaking and crying, putting it back. And scared, I would go to my room and just cry. Didn't tell anybody anything. Didn't tell my roommate. Just was like, thought he didn't care. And I remember the night that I held it, I wasn't shaking. I remember how, like, then the thoughts became louder. And I thought, oh my god, I'm gonna kill myself. And that's... So, yeah. If you go this way, you get a secret ending. We're gonna go take this ending. And we got the suicide ending. But unlike him, I took a chance. And I told my roommate, who's like more like my big brother and my best friend, really. I mean, after all these centuries, no. all these centuries of living together, you got it all wrong. I was able to tell him, you did this to me. You drove me to the point of insanity. Anything else here? I'm just looking for like objects, but you're a demon. But that's where you're wrong. I remember telling him I'm gonna end my life. This whole time I've been trying to help you. I told him I was gonna kill myself, help to come to terms with yourself, and he didn't laugh at me. He didn't push me away. Like, I thought he kicked me out of the house. That's what I was fearful. Where would I go? But he didn't. He helped me get help. He allowed me to get help. And because of that, I'm here. And to try showing you a different way of viewing the world. I try to help you embrace your uniqueness. And show you that there is nothing wrong with being different from everyone else. Glad I don't have a webcam because you would see like all the tears. But yeah, he's my hero, by the way, and he tells me that all the time. There's nothing wrong with being different. Because there is nothing wrong with being different or viewing the world in a different way. But no matter how much I told you, you wouldn't listen. You let the thoughts of yourself and others get to you. And you confuse those thoughts with me. I didn't know what to do. I really wanted to tell someone. But I didn't want anyone to think differently of me, and that's right there is why I didn't. I already felt like a monster. And to tell someone I want to kill myself. I did before and got mocked and was told I couldn't even do that right. Which is like you don't want to say that. Because then it's like I could prove them wrong. Which I didn't. But I didn't want anyone else to think of me differently or treat me differently or anything like that. And they all say the same thing anyway. Because I was so scared of someone telling me that they would say I need to get help. Because I did need help. There's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist, going to counseling or therapy or whatever you want to call it. It's what saves lives. It's having someone non-partial to you that will listen to you and will talk to you and give you advice of how to overcome your depression or anything that is wrong. Like if you're just, if you had a bad breakup, if you, need or just need someone to talk, there's nothing wrong with it. Talking to my therapist have saved my life. They said they say it because they care about you, and anyone who tells you differently does not care about you. I was glad when he told me to get help, and he sat with me as I was looking for places that I could go to get help, even though I had no idea what to do or who to look for. But he cared enough for me that he was there. And they don't know what great amount of pain you're dealing with, and that's true. Because if you don't tell someone, hey, I'm hurt, I'm sad, I need somebody, or I'm drowning in my thoughts, they don't know they can sympathize and they can hold your hand, and they're going to be there for you and how they can be there for you. But they're going to tell you to get help, and because getting help with someone is going to help save your life, and that's what they want. They want you to live. They love you enough where they're going to push you for that and support you, and to hold your hand on days where it gets tough. And they're going to remind you that no, you are loved, you are wanted, you are needed. You're here on this earth for a reason. Even that reason is just to be in that person's life. You are here for that reason. And that's what it took from him and therapy to make me realize. And yeah, when I was going to kill myself, that's what I thought. I could actually experience something other than this miserable life existence. This pain, this constant pain I was always in, just never letting me go. And I'm glad I told him about it, and I'm glad I got help. And that's what I thought. I would be happy if I was dead. I could finally find happiness. But you know what? I wouldn't be happy because I'd be dead. I would never experience anything that I experienced in my life after getting help. Like finding my boyfriend, and to be loved, like having him love me for me, accepting my flaws. Having people in my life, like my best friends, who want me to be happy, not for any other reason. To be happy and to show me that I can be happy and I can love other people just like you used to. And I can never go back to what I used to be. I can only be stronger. And that's what it taught me, going to therapy. Was I could be stronger. And I got a trophy called Finish the Game. But going to therapy has taught me about how I can be happy. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have depression. Like, my best friend tells me that Hollywood has really ruined mental illness, making you think that going to get help is scary and get locked up. That's why I asked my therapist, am I gonna get locked up? And they're like, no, if you're in danger of somebody, yeah, you might get to a place where they'll treat you. But you won't get like in a padded room. And that's what I thought it was. So playing this game, like this is, has taught me that depression's okay. Like, I don't like I have depression. I think it's miserable and it sucks. But I'm happier knowing that I have it because I know how to combat my depression. I have a support group of people that I go to. Even if I get scared I'm gonna wake them up or bother them, I still let them know I'm sad. I'm feeling sad. Sometimes I don't know why I'm sad. Sometimes I do know why I'm sad. But this game is really important to know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. That if you're thinking suicidal thoughts, get help. Talk to someone. The suicide hotline I've called just to talk with somebody who will listen. Talk to your friends, your family, your priests, anyone. Because you know what? They care about you. And they want you in their lives. So, talk. Don't be like me and be scared to talk when I was a lot younger, or even now. Well, not now, but you know what I mean. Just talk, and you'd be surprised of who was going to be there to hold your hand and listen. Just because they can't respond or don't know what to say or do, they love you enough that they're putting the time and effort to be there for you. But yeah. Anyways, this is a good game to get all these emotions out, very therapeutic. And I hope you would, don't mind me telling you a little bit of my story of depression and how I came close to killing myself and how I do have an amazing life now that makes me happy. And yeah, so this is I'm signing off for now, and thank you for spending this time with me as I tell you my story. I appreciate it. I know it was all like rambles and jambles and tears and stuff, but if you got through to the end, I appreciate it. Even if you just watched the first 15 minutes, I still appreciate it. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.